The first omen. The year 2025 began with an unsettling anomaly. Astronomers detected an inexplicable disturbance in the Kuiper Belt, a region of icy bodies at the edge of the solar system. What initially appeared to be an unusually dense asteroid cluster quickly turned into something far more alarming. These objects were moving, not randomly but with precision. Their trajectory suggested an unnatural intelligence behind their path. Humanity's first clue that they were not alone came not with a dramatic landing, but with whispers from the void. At first, the scientific community was divided. Some argued it was merely an unusual but natural phenomenon. Others, studying the precise velocity and synchronized movements, posited something more unsettling: an extraterrestrial fleet. By mid-February, telescopic observations confirmed what skeptics feared. The objects were slowing down as they approached the inner solar system, adjusting their course directly toward Earth. The world watched in muted dread as this silent convoy of celestial intruders edged closer. Governments scrambled to respond. Secret meetings between global superpowers began, and militaries were quietly placed on high alert. Yet amid the uncertainty, one question loomed larger than all others. Why Earth? What did these unknown entities want? Adding to the tension was the sudden appearance of strange recurring signals detected by radio telescopes around the world. These signals, initially dismissed as cosmic background noise, were later revealed to be tightly organized sequences of data. They seemed to mimic human communication, mathematical equations, prime numbers, and patterns suggesting intent. The signals carried a haunting regularity, as if something out there was calling directly to Earth. Civilian astronomers and amateur radio enthusiasts also began to report anomalies. Telescopes captured faint glimpses of objects altering their speed and even changing formation. Experts speculated that these movements weren't just random, but a form of communication or coordination between the approaching vessels. By the end of February, global media had picked up on the story, fueling widespread speculation. Theories ranged from peaceful exploration to a full-scale invasion. Humanity's collective imagination spiraled. Artists painted ominous skies filled with alien ships, while writers penned stories of contact and conflict. Yet the truth remained elusive. Official channels maintained their silence, offering only vague assurances that everything was under control. But deep within government bunkers and research labs, the growing consensus was undeniable. Earth was being observed, and it was being observed closely. As the weeks passed, the scientific community's unease deepened. The objects, now confirmed as advanced spacecraft, demonstrated technological capabilities that dwarfed humanity's own. Their propulsion systems emitted no detectable energy signature, and their dark, angular surfaces absorbed almost all light, rendering them ghostly silhouettes against the backdrop of space. Humanity, for all its progress, suddenly felt very small and very exposed. The stage was set for an encounter unlike any in history. The year had begun with whispers, but as March loomed, those whispers were growing into an undeniable roar. Earth's place in the cosmos was about to change forever, and no one could predict what would come next. In a small village, a cat named Whiskers discovered a magic fish in a pond. The fish promised 3 wishes in exchange for its freedom. Whiskers wished for endless fish, a cozy bed, and a bell that rang softly. The fish granted all 3 wishes and swam away, leaving Whiskers content and purring in the sun. Signals in the dark march brought the first direct communication. A signal, complex and encoded, was intercepted by deep space monitoring stations. The transmission was a mix of mathematical sequences and incomprehensible patterns. It was not a greeting, but a warning. Fragments of the decoded message revealed chilling phrases: observe, harvest, and prime target. The implications sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The term harvest sparked heated debates. Was humanity facing an existential threat, or was this a cryptic misunderstanding of alien intent? Governments enacted emergency protocols, while public leaders downplayed the severity of the situation. Yet, Behind closed doors, the world's powers braced for the worst. Satellite arrays captured increasingly detailed imagery of the approaching fleet. Each ship was massive in scale, surrounded by shimmering energy fields. Markings on their surfaces appeared to be symbols, possibly in alien language, though their meaning remained elusive. As the signals continued, they began to shift, evolving into bursts of complex, layered data. Some experts theorized these messages probed Earth's technological capabilities. Others believed they demonstrated dominance. Either way, humanity was being studied with cold precision. Social media became a breeding ground for conspiracy theories, from secret government deals to doomsday prophecies. Panic buying ensued, and underground groups vowed resistance. Humanity's collective anxiety reached a fever pitch. A breakthrough occurred when cryptographers partially decoded the alien transmission. The chilling message read, "We have observed, your time has come, prepare." It was not an invitation but a proclamation. Though governments tried to suppress the leak, the revelation spread, igniting protests and demands for transparency. As March turned to April, the fleet reached the orbit of Jupiter. Their ominous presence cast a shadow over the solar system. Humanity braced for what was to come, realizing that Earth's place in the universe had changed forever. In a small village, a cat named Whiskers discovered a magic fish in a pond. The fish promised 3 wishes in exchange for its freedom. Whiskers wished for endless fish, a cozy bed, and a bell that rang softly. The fish granted all 3 wishes and swam away, leaving Whiskers content and purring in the sun. A new kind of war. By the early months of 2025, humanity had finally begun to accept the undeniable reality of the threat coming from the depths of space. But this was no ordinary threat. It promised more than the destruction of a single planet. It was a threat to the very existence of a species. These creatures were not just out to survive. They saw Earth as their hunting ground. Humanity had become the prey in a game of cosmic proportions. In time, it became clear that these hunters were not merely intent on exterminating humanity, but on consuming the entire potential of the planet itself. The creatures were driven by something beyond survival. They wanted to break Earth down, to strip it of its worth, to claim it as their own. What they had failed to realize was that by targeting humanity, they had awakened something far more powerful than they had anticipated. By the end of the second month, world governments began to reassess their responses. Traditional warfare, tactics, space technologies, even artificial intelligence, nothing could stop the onslaught. This was no longer just a military engagement. It had evolved into a battle for existence itself. Human survival was now a race against time. As the situation grew more dire, many nations abandoned conventional defense strategies in favor of more unorthodox approaches to confront their attackers. The world had begun to realize that defeating this enemy required something far beyond the traditional means of warfare, something more profound. The struggle had become a contest of endurance, innovation, and an entirely new kind of warfare. Yet, as humanity struggled to survive, the hunters began to reconsider their approach. No longer did they simply see humans as prey. They started to understand something deeper about the human race. Perhaps in some strange way, the persistence of humanity was a challenge to their own existence. The hunters began to recognize that their conquest of Earth was not as simple as they had once thought. They were dealing with a species that might have something more to offer than just its destruction. This realization, while ominous, offered a faint glimmer of hope for humanity. The war had transformed once again, and now both sides were playing a different kind of game. The unseen forces. As the war between Earth and the hunters raged on, it became apparent that the battle was no longer just between 2 physical forces. A new layer of conflict emerged, one that was invisible to the naked eye, yet just as deadly. The humans, in their desperate need for survival, began to uncover new, mysterious forces that were at play. Forces that existed beyond the physical realm of warfare. Scientists and engineers, working tirelessly in hidden laboratories and secure government facilities, discovered that the hunters' technology was not just advanced, but fundamentally different. It wasn't just a matter of physical superiority. Their weapons, their ships, and their very method of communication seemed to tap into unknown aspects of the universe. The human mind could barely comprehend the sheer scale of what was being revealed. The hunters' technology seemed to manipulate the very fabric of space-time itself. Their ships moved through dimensions, their weapons could distort time, and their communication methods were based on frequencies no human technology could even detect. The realization that these creatures were not merely visitors from another planet, but possibly from another dimension, shook humanity to its core. They were not simply fighting for survival. They were battling forces beyond their comprehension. Every attack, every countermeasure seemed futile in the face of such overwhelming power. No matter how advanced Earth's technology became, it was clear that humanity was not even playing the same game. This discovery led to a dramatic shift in Earth's response. Governments and organizations began to pool their resources in a new direction, an effort to unlock the secrets of the hunters' technology. For the first time, humanity set aside its usual rivalries and came together with a singular goal: to find a way to not just defend Earth, but to fight back with a weapon of their own. But the challenge was greater than they could have ever imagined. In Nadi, a secretive facility in the depths of the Arctic, the first breakthrough occurred. A team of scientists, working with the remains of a hunter's ship that had crashed on Earth, managed to reverse engineer a fragment of their technology. The first successful test of this new technology was nothing short of a miracle. A small unmanned probe was able to shift momentarily through dimensions, moving from one location to another, faster than any human-made technology had ever achieved. While the breakthrough offered hope, it also raised more questions. What other dangers lay hidden in the hunter's technology? Was this discovery enough to turn the tide in the war, or had humanity unlocked something far more dangerous than they had ever anticipated? The hunters, unaware of the shift in Earth's strategies, continued their relentless assault. But with every passing day, humanity grew more aware of the true depth of the challenge. The war had evolved once again, and now the stakes were higher than ever before. The true battle had only just begun. The first counterstrike. Humanity's desperate race to understand and counter the hunters' devastating technological advantage had reached a critical point. The breakthrough in dimension-shifting technology, though still in its infancy, sparked a renewed sense of purpose across Earth. Nations that had once been divided now shared knowledge, pooling resources and intellect in a unified global effort to fight back. What had seemed impossible only months earlier, the ability to turn the hunters' own weaponry against them, was now within reach. But with every gain came new risks, and the consequences of failure were more profound than ever. As Earth's new weaponry began to take form, so too did the strategic shifts. The once small resistance against the invaders grew in both number and sophistication. Small, covert strike forces, utilizing the new dimension-shifting technology, began to infiltrate and sabotage hunter operations. For the first time since the hunters' arrival, there was a glimmer of hope that the balance of power could be altered. On a remote military base in the Pacific, the first large-scale test of this new strategy was set into motion. A fleet of dimension-shifting drones, built from the reverse-engineered technology, was launched toward a massive hunter vessel stationed near Earth's orbit. The plan was simple but risky. Penetrate the ship's defenses by temporarily vanishing from one place and reappearing within its inner structure, bypassing traditional security systems. As the drones activated their dimensional shifts, the unthinkable happened. Instead of reappearing within the hunter ship as planned, some of the drones vanished entirely, disappearing into a space no one could identify. Others reappeared, but not in their intended locations. They were scattered across vast distances, some appearing on the surface of the Earth, others deep within the hunter fleet. The technology had worked, but it wasn't perfect. The hunters quickly detected the anomaly, retaliating with a force far greater than anticipated. The attack was far from a victory. The drones that had managed to breach the hunter ship's defenses caused significant damage, but the hunters' countermeasures were swift and brutal. In mere hours, the Earth fleet found itself on the defensive once again, struggling to adapt to an enemy that could move, shift, and retaliate in ways no one had imagined. Despite the setback, the mission had been a success in one crucial respect. Humanity had proven that it was capable of striking back. The hunters, once seemingly invincible, had been wounded, and for the first time the humans understood that their enemy was not omnipotent. They could be hurt, and they could be caught off guard. As Earth's leaders and scientists analyzed the results, it became clear that the war had entered an unpredictable phase. The stakes were higher than ever, and the danger of further mistakes loomed large. But humanity had crossed a threshold. They were no longer simply fighting for survival. Now, they were fighting to win. The hunters, too, had been forced to confront a disturbing new reality, that Earth was no longer the helpless prey they had believed it to be. The first counterstrike had succeeded, but the road ahead was uncertain. The war was far from over. The turning point. The course of the war had dramatically shifted. Once a helpless prey, humanity had grown into a formidable force, striking back with strategies that surprised the invaders. The breakthrough with dimension-shifting technology had opened new possibilities, but it also created dangerous consequences. As humanity became more adept at using this technology to infiltrate the hunters' strongholds, it inadvertently triggered dimensional rifts that began to unravel the very fabric of space. Despite their technological superiority, the hunters found themselves struggling to adapt. Their once unified front began to fracture as internal debates arose about whether to continue the conquest or retreat. Some of the hunters were unnerved by the escalating threats from Earth and the unpredictable effects of their own technology, while others remained resolute, determined to fulfill their mission. The growing instability from the rifts, however, added an unpredictable element to the war. These rifts were not just a side effect. They were a real danger to both sides. Scientists on Earth worked tirelessly to understand the risks and stabilize the shifting fabric of space, but it was clear that the war had escalated beyond simple military tactics. In a bold, decisive move, Earth launched its most significant counterattack yet. Armed with perfected dimensional shifting vessels, humanity's forces targeted the heart of the hunter fleet, aiming to destroy their command structure and cripple their ability to coordinate. The battle, fought among the stars, was a desperate gamble to ensure Earth's survival. Humanity's new weaponry pierced the hunter defenses, striking at the core of their operations. As the attack unfolded, the hunters' once impenetrable forces faltered, and the command center was obliterated. Victory seemed within reach, but the rifts in space continued to expand, threatening to collapse into a catastrophic event. The rifts that humanity had used as weapons now risked consuming both the hunter fleet and the planet they had fought to protect. By the end of the battle, the hunters were left in disarray, their fleet shattered. Humanity had claimed victory, but at a tremendous cost. The war had shifted into a new phase, where the victory came with profound consequences. The war was technically over, but the damage caused by the dimensional rifts left humanity with more questions than answers. The true cost of their victory was still unfolding, and the future of Earth now hung in an uncertain balance.